Hello, take a look at this. This is a little stand that I made, and it's used for holding a lot of different flat surface devices. An iPhone works really well. You can also expand these rods for larger screens. Here's an iPad, standard iPad, and I left these loose so they can be adjusted. A little push here and there, and it's a lot wider, so you could put this iPad or even a large surface monitor of some type on there. And this here is made out of zebra wood. It's an exotic wood, rather expensive, but you don't have to use this kind of wood. And I use stainless steel rods only because I found them scrap around my garage. You can just as well use a wooden rod, a lot less expensive, and it'll work just as good. Now, some of the things you're going to need to use if you'd like to make this, first of all, a rod. I chose to use 5/16 of an inch rods, and those rods work out pretty well, good and sturdy. And then I use a wood called Bubinca. I had a scrap piece of this, and it's a beautiful, super hardwood, and I'm going to use that in this demonstration model. I also used a little bit of super glue and some accelerator with it. I want to show you a trick that'll save you a lot of trouble if you want to duplicate and make two sides of this a bookend that are identical. So let's take a look at how that's done. Well, here I go. I'm going to take this blue tape and I'm going to put it on each side of these bookend pieces of wood. So just long enough so when I flip them together, they're going to match. Now I'm going to take some really thin super glue and I'm going to put a bead of it down the center of the blue tape, not too much so it doesn't slop out, and then I'm going to shoot the blue tape out of sight with some accelerator. It's really important to lay this down just perfectly, and when I do this I just hold it down for 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds that's like a single piece of wood. You'll notice that my Bubinca wood is smaller than the zebra wood, but I'll just use the zebra to get that angle across. And there it is. Now looking at this one, I'm going to put a hole about right there. And I'll put the second one right about there. I like the way that this looks where the metal rod's coming down and almost intersecting this rod. So I'm going to do the same thing here, and I want to make a line so it's 90 degrees. It's coming in at this correct angle. So I'm going to go like that and make that line come in right like that. And then as I extend this line out to here, I can go ahead and make my drilling going across right here. And I can almost eyeball these. I'm going to drill a hole right at this spot in the center. But when I drill that hole, I'm going to make it such, you're going to see how I set this up, so the hole goes in at that angle. I'll show you how I do that. So I have a 5/16 inch drill bit for my 5/16 inch rod, and you can see there's where I'm going to drill, and I'm going into scrap wood so I don't get a blowout on the back side. So I'll go ahead and slowly go through here.
And then I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And now I'm going to set
Up for this drilling of these holes, okay? And watch how this is done. So check this out. I have this clamp here, and I see my line, the angle I want to go at, so I just kind of eyeball this a little bit and set my wood so it's at the same angle as that drill bit. Get it clamped in there real good, and now when I come down it's going to go straight into that line. Now I have this clamp here because when I pinch this at the bottom, it splayed these two pieces out a little bit, and I don't want that to mess up my angle. So I've got it in the right spot now, and I'll just go ahead and come down. I have the depth set so I'll never hit that hole down below. Now, in order to put my dolphin pattern, I just got one off online, and I blew it up and shrunk it down until I got this size. This is the size I thought would look the best. And I used a glue stick to glue it down. But here's a little trick for you. I have some of this clear shelving material that you usually put on a shelf in a kitchen. And what I did is I cut a bit of that, and then I placed it over the paper. When the blade goes through, it melts the plastic and it becomes a lubricant and gets through this really hard wood without a problem. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you. You could use a coping saw to do this. It would be a devil to do, though. It's very difficult. And since I have a power scroll saw, I'll go ahead and do it there. Remember, we glued these together, but the glue is only on the tape, so if we pull it, we can get it apart, and the tape comes off pretty easily. In some cases, the tape gets kind of hard from the super glue, but I'll get all these little bits off. And then when we get it done, we'll do a little sanding there, of course, but we have an identical bookend. They match perfectly. Now, we're going to take these, and what we need to do next is decide how long this rod should be. And I want to make it adjustable, so I'm going to go a little bit long with it so we can adjust it in and out. You could also use wood, but I'm going to go ahead and mark this with my permanent marker. And notice I don't do a lot of measuring. It's not really important on this job. It'll work just as easy. It's GE. Just right, good. Okay, and you can see I'm going at it with the saw here. This is a little speeded up. I wish I could cut that fast. And then after it's done, we can take it over and watch what I do here. It's all burred up and kind of a nasty little cut, but I'll take it to my grinding belt and I'm going to touch it on there. I'm going to flatten it first, and after that I'm going to spin it and put a bevel on the end. That way it'll go easily through the holes that we've cut. So I've got the power on here. Now I'm flattening it and I'm spinning it so I get a spin scratch on the end. That looks a little better. And now I just hold it and I'm tapering it by spinning it again on its side. There's kind of a fuzzy look for you. A problem you're always going to run into when you drill a hole that's 5/16 and then you have a rod that's 5/16, they're just not going to fit. So what I have to do in this case is take my rat tail file, and you can see how it gets its name. It looks just like a rat's tail. Put it through the hole and very gently go around and around and enlarge the hole until the rod slides fairly easily through the hole. If you don't have one of these, put some sandpaper around a pencil or a small dowel or a nail, and you can do the same thing pretty well. So what I'm going to do here is I made a little branding iron to identify things that I make. So I'm going to take it, light up this propane torch, and then I'm going to heat this guy up. I put a little mark on here so I can always tell the top of the logo If you'd like to make one of these, I just made this out of a brass knob that you open up a cabinet with, and I ground it down and used a Dremel tool to carve out my initials here. Beware, if you do that, you have to carve them out backwards. You have to make a mirror image of those. And I'm going to go ahead and lay this down in a second and burn this. I like to burn it on the inside of my object so my name isn't glaring out there for everyone to see, but for someone to know. So, you see, I've heated it up pretty good here. And now I'm going to take and put it down. And when I put it down, I'm going to wallow it around. So it goes all the way around in every direction. Lift it up. And I'll turn this off. And then when I'm done, some oils and stuff squirted out of the wood. But take a look. My name's George Vodinakis, and you can see right there, GF. I don't know if you can see that very well, but GF. So now I have this little rod, and I did not bore out this hole, so it's going to be pretty snug. So I'm just going to tap it in real gently, and when it goes in, it's going to be snug, so I don't need to glue it in. And that's it. So I got that in right the way I want it. So you can see these work really well for vertical viewing, or if you want to, you can go horizontal. These will spread open wider. And you can see this is the other one for my iPad. Does a really good job. Maybe try something like that. I think you might enjoy it.